And we're live. I got with me today an economic developer for the great state of Oklahoma. This person has served in a leadership role in facilitating and creatively implementing economic development programs all over the state. The scope of her professional involvement and leadership reaches all over the state of Oklahoma and its communities. This individual has received her BA in Business Management from the University of Central Oklahoma, and short after, she required her master's in Business Administration. And just recently, she has received her third diploma in economic development from the University of Oklahoma. This individual is considered one of the young emerging leaders in Oklahoma City. And boy, do we need young emerging leaders. She's also recently announced her candidacy for Oklahoma House of Representatives, House District 99. In her work, this person oversees 3 community committees on the Governor's Council for Workforce and Development: the Business Engagement Committee, Education and Career Pathways, and Healthcare. This person's community work includes serving as a board member of the 23rd Street Commercial District, the East End, being the president of the Wellness Initiative, which is a nonprofit organization who contributes to the underserved communities in Oklahoma, being a part of Leadership Council at the Oklahoma Regional Food Bank, serving in African American alumni chapter for the University of Central Oklahoma, and working alongside many agencies as a community partner to help develop partnerships between businesses and education throughout the state. This person is working really hard for her district, really hard for her family, her kids. She's a mother of three beautiful children, Kennedy, Kevin, and Carter. Please welcome to VRP, Brittane. Brittane, welcome to VRP. How are you? Brittane Grant.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I can't complain. I appreciate you for freeing up some time to come on. I know you are a busy person.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. And so, again, thank you for coming on. What's going on with you today?
Man, we are working in the campaign. So like you said, I am running for House District 99. Our election is next Tuesday. So Tuesday, June 18th. So we are working hard. We are getting some things ready. So today I was actually on the radio this morning doing my commercial, my little 30-second commercial to have on the radio. Did a photo shoot, so we are just getting ready for the end of this race. And so just excited about it all. So today has been very busy. I'm glad to be on with you guys.
Yes, I appreciate you. Again, like I said, you're very busy and you did not have to do this. So it's an honor for you to be here, and I'm greatly appreciative. And so, Brittane, I just want to tee us up real quick before we get right into it. A few years ago, I was given a vision by a higher power, I believe, to prepare for a special moment. And that was about in 2018. And in 2020, we had COVID. And up to 2020, you could see things unfolding over the news. And, through prayer and through a moment of me being able to grab my bearings from a most recent drug addiction, I was at a very high spiritual point in my life. And God called on to me and said, hey, this is the continuum curve. And I'm like, what is a continuum curve? And, videos and doing research of trying to figure out what a continuum curve is kind of applies to math and timing and such. And so what I did was come up with through a vision that God shared with me, come up with a theory that we are in a moment of continuum. And I think that time will tell what the millennial generation will do with this moment. And I think that it's pivotal for us to create new systems and undergird stronger systems that work for everyone. And I feel like we're in a moment to where we're passing on the leadership baton to younger leadership. And I think that it's time for millennials to take the baton from the older generation and us build a better and more inclusive future. And so I look forward to our conversation. I think you fit within it as a leader, as a millennial leader. And so with that being said, let's get right to it.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, Brittany. When did you guys get started for working towards this moment now?
As far as the campaign,
Yes, ma'am.
so I started, and I say we. So I want to say my campaign team, we started last year around August. So getting the team together, I decided that I wanted to run. Got all my decisions to as to why I want to run and why this is important to me. Got my team together. So we announced September 1st of 2023, and I have been working ever since. Um,
Wow.
campaign. So it's been a while. It's been a great ride, but it will be, the election is next week. So I'm looking forward to it. But we've been working really, really hard.
Dope, dope. So, a good part of your adulthood, was this something that you were wanting to do, or did something happen that kind of convinced you into wanting to do something like this? Or,
Yeah, so I've always been just like a natural kind of leader, just kind of gravitate towards leading in some sort of way, whether it's from the front or behind,
mm,
in a way of wanting people to understand as far as being involved in politics was never something that I was like, oh, I'm going to be a politician. Oh, this is something that I want. I kind of fell into the work of economic development with my project management background. So they were looking for my previous employer, the Greater Columbus City Chamber. They were looking for a project manager, someone that kind of had some experience in construction and finding, their way. And so I got introduced into this world of economic development. And once you start understanding everything that goes into it, from buildings and land to education, to workforce development, when all of those components come together to create this economy, you start to see disparities in different
mm,
communities.
yes.
And so that sparked my interest into running, because I would sit at these tables and I would say, oh my gosh, there's so many resources out here. There's so many things that are available. How do I get this to my community that, I live, work, and play in? Because we look completely different than other communities.
Right.
And so that is what really got me encouraged, in wanting to just represent my community in a way that my experience, and my resources, being able to bring resources to the community, is very big for me. And
Yeah.
so that's what kind of sparked it all.
Dope. That's awesome. Now, you mentioned that you've always been a leader, whether ahead or from behind. What was your childhood like growing up?
So I am from Idabel, Oklahoma.
How big
Small.
is Ida Bell? Is that a pretty small community?
Yep.
Yeah.
Small town for me, but I know people that have went to smaller towns. So 7,000 population.
Mm.
I graduated with about 96 people.
Wow.
So childhood is very rural. Took care of chickens and cows, and my dad had a garden, a huge garden where we grew everything, so it was, playing outside barefoot, being on bikes all day, so that was my upbringing. But I
Mm.
had a lot of community leaders. My parents were community leaders. People looked up to them. And I think I try to model that now, is because my dad is a preacher. So he's one of the small town Black preachers in Idabel. Shout out to Spring Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Idabel. But so seeing my parents, my mom is an educator. So she worked her way up from being a teacher to a counselor to assistant principal to principal. So leading in the community in a way of education, and making sure the children had what they needed. And then my dad, from a church perspective, making sure the community needed, what they needed, having resources in the community and being there for them in times of, bereavement or troubles, or even, the happy times. So I was always around people. I was always serving people in a different capacity and watching my parents serve people. So it was almost natural for me to kind of transition into this. So economic development gave me a doorway to say communities. And now it's really time for me to dig my heels in and to serve. My community deserves that.
That's beautiful. So Ida Bell, you said it wasn't very big, and I'm from Lawton, and let me tell you, Lawton isn't very big, but it has its fair share of negative influences. And I can probably, it's probably safe to say that every community has its negative influences.
Yeah.
But my question is like, how did you stay connected to the community while avoiding negative influences? Because I feel like sometimes, and in the African American communities specifically, we have our fair share, probably more than any other community, of negative influences, whether it comes from gang activity to people having to create additional sources of income that aren't conventional, e.g. or i.e. dope dealing or whatnot. But Ida Bell probably didn't have it as much, but I'm sure there's some negative influences there. But within our community, like I said, I feel like we face more rap music and such. So how did you avoid those negative influences and stay connected to the community?
I think my parents did a great job at shielding me from that. So Idabel is very small, so everybody knows where you are at all times. So my parents would get, oh, Brittany's on, such and such street, or she's in this area. And my mom would immediately call me and be like, what are you doing? Like, where you at? Who you with? Like, we already know. So I'm like, you already know where I'm at. Somebody has told you where my grandam is in this town. Like, somebody has told you where I'm at. So my parents did a great job at, kind of shielding me and keeping me busy. So I was always in sports, always had some extracurricular activity outside of school. If it wasn't church, it was piano lessons, or my mom had was in over this group called the Junior Entrepreneurs, and it was for a group of outstanding students who had this caliber of, you have these criteria, to get into this group. And so whether it's grades or, not being in the community in such a way, like there was just a standard to be into this junior entrepreneur club. And so it made women and it made the girls in town. And so the guys had a group too, but it just made us want to be more, to be into this group. Like you saw all of these great cheerleading captains, and everybody that was anybody United Bell was a part of this group. And so it made you want to do that. And so you had to hit these criteria to be able to become, part of this club or association. And so it gave us something to look forward to and to be. But I had a healthy fear of God and my parents. So I stayed, out of as much as I could. Being a teenager, there's going to be things that you get into, and then, friends, you can't stop who you hang around with and whatever they do. You just have to trust that, right from wrong, and, you're going to do the right thing. So I think I did a good job at trying to decipher some of that, but my parents hold the sole responsibility of keeping me out of those environments.
That's what's up, man. Shout out to your family, your parents. Because I tell you, man, living, I grew up in the streets. I had some great families see my living situation, and they supported my brother as best they could, hoping that we would make the right decisions. But I'll tell you, man, as a black man, trying to figure things out in the fatherless home, and the mom's in a home that, my mom worked full time. It was hard. It was difficult.
Yeah.
And I have to say, growing up in Lawton, living in survival mode, thinking with the survival mode like mentality, an impoverished mindset, it's really easy to be influenced in doing the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
And people will sit back that have that supportive household and have those resources they need, and look at from the outside in and like, damn, what's wrong with these guys? Like, why can't they get it together? Or why are they making these issues? They should, right? Yeah. And so it's just like, well, man, it's kind of hard, and now that I'm older and I've processed myself and the things that I've done in my life, I'm able to look at it from a much more clear perspective. And I have to say, and this isn't part of our questions, but having that positive influence in that group of people that are doing well to feed off of is so monumental. And I didn't know about Delta and the Alphas and the I forgot some of the male sororities and fraternities.
Kappas, the
Kept
yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to them, man. I didn't learn about this stuff until I was 37 years old. I didn't know that these organizations existed. Trying to think back, like, did someone tell me about this when I was younger? But it makes sense to have those group of people that are doing great things in the world to be a part of. And I wish, actually, I take that back. I'm thinking about how different things would be if I would have gone down that road. Um,
Mhm.
I'm I don't want my life to change because I have a beautiful family, and I have my health and have another opportunity in life. And I don't want to live in regret, but to think about how those things could have, positively affected my life, just kind of blows my socks away. But
Yeah.
hey, choices are
Absolutely.
choices, man. We all have them, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we all have them.
Yeah.
So I'm a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority
Shout out to the
Incorporated.
alphas. Yeah, yeah,
Yep. Shout out to AKAs and
yeah.
Alpha Star Brothers. So my mom, I was at a young age, I've always wanted to know, like pink and green, what is the sorority about? And so,
Yeah.
traditionally, Black sororities and fraternities, they were created to have a sense of belonging in
Hmm.
a predominantly white institute. So you see that other on those campuses, specifically at Howard, where AKAs were born, and so the Alphas. Um, you see that these other organizations that don't look like us had a sense of belonging, like they were the majority. And so with us being the minority, sometimes you don't have someone that looks like you that you can
Hmm.
go and talk to and say, hey, these are the problems that I'm going through. And so
Right.
we just kind of looked and said, oh, well, why can't we do the same thing? Why can't we have a sorority or a fraternity, so we can have a sense of belonging in an institution where we are frankly not wanted? And so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of how the conversations and the origination of the Black sororities and fraternities kind of came along, because you are at a predominantly white institute and you have no one. You have no
Yeah.
one to talk to. And so I'm very proud of the work that Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated has done, and
Hmm.
gone. And I wanted to be a part of this association and sisterhood. And because you see that, you see someone that looks like you and you want to do these great things, in
That's
community
right.
service and, public health and things of
Yeah.
economic wealth and, generational well being, all the things. And so
Yeah.
um, I'm it makes sense in having a not going to a HBCU, and going to UCO, which is a predominantly, white institute. It's very
Mhm.
diverse. It's very diverse than OU or OSU. And I noticed that immediately when I came on campus at UCO, that there was such a diverse student population. But even coming to Oklahoma City, my mom was like, Brittany, you may be the only Black person that is in your class. Like there may be just a couple of you all, in this business course. And she wasn't wrong. And so she
Mm,
prepared me for those moments. And then you find the people that you fit in with. And,
that's right.
so it's been a journey, but it's a good one.
Yeah, yeah. That's dope, Brittany. So you went to UCO. You were part of the sorority there. Tell us a little bit about your college experience and how did college shape who you are today? Because I know Adabelle was a lot smaller and then jumped to UCO, and I'm sure there's a little bit of a culture shock there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I will just correct one thing, because I don't want people. I crossed in a graduate chapter, so I will tell
Okay.
you. And so it was after college.
Hmm.
During college, I was a young mom,
Oh,
so
okay.
college really molded me, because I had to grow up quick, because
Hmm.
I had a 1 year old, and so, or I was pregnant my freshman year of college, and so going and being a young mom, it was tiring, but it
Yeah.
molded and it shaped me. It was hard. It was hard. It I was a commuter, what they call the commuter. So I stayed off campus. I wasn't able to live on campus. So I didn't get like the campus life, but I did have a lot of friends on campus. I did, get to have some of those experiences. But my college career looks a little different than other people's,
Mhm.
than others, because I was a young mom at the time. But it didn't stop me from continuing my education and graduating when I was supposed to, and
Mm.
on time. I had great professors that understood, when I actually was in labor in one of my last finals. And so I just threw my paper and was like, I gotta go. I gotta
Yeah.
go. There's something happening. I don't know what it is. So college really prepared me to be a great mother, to multitask. I was a student. I was a mom. I worked full time. So it molded me to be stronger. And
Mhm.
I think that, I feel like God knows what we need to slow
Mm.
down and to humble us. And so I wouldn't. My baby is 17 years old. My oldest,
Hey.
and she is planning to go to HBCU. So she's always seen her mom, get through everything. And so
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been a journey for sure, a hard one, but a good one. So my college time was that
Yeah.
and commuted and doing what I needed to do to survive.
Yeah. That's dope, man. I
Yeah.
was talking to one of my colleagues, Malaysia. Shout out to Malaysia. And I was telling her, I'm like, man, I'm sitting back, looking at my wife, and I've been doing this and just trying to figure out how in the hell do I keep up with this? Like how do you keep up? It's like you get off work and you go straight to, fixing dinner and finding messes. I'm like, how did you find that mess? And it's just women are and this is a different top this is a different topic for a different day, but women are just built different. The whole essence of it all, energy, the grit, and so shout out to all the women around the world, because getting through
Shout out.
college alone, being single or even, not having a child is a little bit difficult. You got to be on top of it, especially being a student athlete. I never, I didn't cut it because my mind was somewhere else in La La Land. But thinking back on it, the most committed that I've ever been to semesters, you had to put work into it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
You're just not going to fart your way through college. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so having a
Many late
child
nights.
and getting through that, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said many late nights.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And you do it right. Yeah, that's what you're going to see. And to do that with the child, that's dope. That just says a lot about your work ethic. And shout out to you, man. That's
Thank
huge.
you.
Yes, ma'am. So, economic developer. And through my journey here recently, I've been looking for African American economic developers. I'm curious to what they see in mostly black communities. Is there hope in building business infrastructure? Is there hope in having a more thriving business district in African American communities? Before we answer that question, is there hope to thriving businesses in African American communities? What inspired you to become an economic developer, and how long have you been doing that?
So it's been about 11 years. So when I think about economic development, we talked about it's all encompassing. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different facets to economic development, whether you're in education, whether you're influencing through, business or realtors, whether you're in workforce development. There's so many different ways to contribute to economic development. And like I said, it just kind of fell in my lap. I applied for a job, and they called me in and said, hey, we need a project manager to be able to manage these projects. And this is, what it looks like. And so as I started to work within that realm, I started talking to business owners. I started talking to CEOs and, people that were just over a whole, it was a new world for me. It was a new world that I just was not exposed to. And I wanted to understand it with the best of me. Like I wanted to really understand what, you know, buildings, land and reuse, recruiting companies, what makes a business, thrive, what makes an economy thrive, how is Oklahoma City growing so much, like what are, taxes or TIFs and, all of the things that make us who we are. How do we revitalize downtown? So moving from Idabel, you mentioned earlier, like that was just like a culture shift,
Mhm.
for me. And so when I first moved here, downtown was, Bricktown. There was nothing there. Like
Mhm.
everyone said, don't go downtown, Bricktown at nighttime. Why not? What is it? And now look at it. Look at how it's thriving. Look at maps, how it's revitalized. Like a 1 cent, like a penny tax has done
Right.
all of this for the economy of Oklahoma City. And so when you think about where we came from and where we're going, just to kind of transition into your question, yes, I think and I believe that Black communities can thrive.
Mhm.
You just got to have access to the right resources. You don't know. I say this all the time. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know that there are resources available for you. There are programs that are available for you. We just have to go get them. We have to be
Yeah.
exposed to what this looks like. We have to understand, we have to learn, what these resources are and really fully how to implement them in our businesses and our communities. But we have to invest in our communities. We have to own where we live. There's so many things that go into economic development and developing communities because I'm running for House District 99, and I want to say something of, 85 to 90% of people in our areas are renters.
Mhm.
That is, surprising. That is something that I feel like we need access to resources. So I started to do some housing forums to say, these are the resources. We're not recreating the wheel. I'm just exposing you to resources that are already here, that are already available, and subject matter experts to tell you this is how you get there. So we had people from OFA, Oklahoma Finance Housing Agency, to talk about homeownership. Homeownership goes directly, rooftops go directly hand in hand with economic development. We can't recruit companies to a community without rooftops. They will not move into, bigger companies will not move into a community that doesn't have the traffic to be able to sustain it. People that are there and living in the community. So building communities and economic development, owning where you live, housing, everything goes hand in hand. Workforce development. If we're bringing companies into the community, why our workforce needs to be trained and ready for those jobs that are moving into our communities. When we are starting businesses, there are small business programs all over the place. There's incubators and accelerators, people that will give you 16 to 18-week courses on how to write a business plan, how to write a marketing plan, how to go out and get money, and then at the end, they give you additional money or seed money to go and start your business. But a lot of times that I see in our communities, we have a passion first, right? So our passion then becomes our business, and we don't know how to run a business. We just know
Yeah.
we cook really well.
Right.
I
Right.
bake these cookies really well.
Yeah.
Um, but we don't know the business behind it. And so being having access to resources and me working for the chamber and the Department of Commerce, these are state and federal programs that we know about that have resources. So our communities don't know about them because they are typically geared and focused on bigger businesses. They're focused
Yeah.
on bringing in the Amazons,
Mhm.
the Costcos of the world. And so our smaller businesses don't feel like that they are even seen or heard, that there's no
Mhm.
resources. And so we've got to change that narrative to say
Yeah.
there are resources. They may be few and far between, but first we got to learn how to utilize them. And second, we got to know that, first, really, we got to know that they're there. And second, we got to learn how to utilize them for us and how to make it work for our communities.
Got a word there. That's deep. And, Brittany, I've been an activist for reparations for the last 5.5 years, almost 6 now, on behalf of American Descendants of Slavery Advocacy Foundation. And we believe that we do have a passion as a group of people to, do a business, run a business, or, cook our favorite food and serve people. One of our arguments inside the org as an activist is, we don't have access to wealth and capital, and we've been locked out of the wealth game, and it does cost money to cover risk and to also scale up, and so there's a lot of this is a deep discussion. I think when we talk about the African American community in business, I'm not the professional to have it. I'm not the expert to have it. Let me say that again. I'm not the expert to have it, but I do feel like I'm professional enough to listen to the experts discuss it, and then create some groundswell in our community for people to be excited about what's to come. And we believe that reparations could fill that gap, the wealth gap, especially the Oklahoma wealth gap that's consistently building. One would argue that the new developments that are coming downtown for the sports arena in the district is only going to further the wealth gap and advance white wealth. And I'd like to, build some plans out and be involved with that in the near future as far as an entrepreneur business owner. But I do believe that, people that, resemble me as far as our race wise, that, are in position to be able to at least listen to development plans and ideas and tell me straight, hey, this is impossible, or to tell me straight up, hey, this is what you need to do to get to where you're wanting to go. And so shout out to you. I don't want to hold you too much longer, but I do want to ask you 2 more questions. You got time for that?
Yeah, we got
okay,
time.
Cool. I know you're super busy, but with the big election coming up next Tuesday, June 18th, y'all pull up at the poll, District 99. Y'all got a great candidate. You've had tons of endorsements. Tell us a little bit about who those are people that are endorsing you.
So they are, first off, I am just so floored at the amount of support. People tell me all the time, Brittany, you shouldn't be surprised because you're great. So it's hard for me to talk about myself, but the amount of community support that I have gotten has been absolutely amazing. It's been genuine connections. It's been genuine relationships. So I attend, St. John Missionary Baptist Church. So Pastor Jemison has endorsed a couple other leaders in the area in House District 99, and pastors. But our current Senator George
Young. Yes.
Absolutely amazing in this process. He's someone that I can call and say, hey, Senator Young, I was looking at this, state question, or I was looking at this piece of legislation. Can you break it down and can you explain it to me? Or just through this whole campaign process of my highs and lows, because people who see candidacy, they just think, oh, this person is running for office, but there's so much that goes on in the background. There's so much work that goes on. There's so much mental capacity that you have to have in the background. But I am just grateful for the team that I have around me. Tanasha Woods has been absolutely
shout out to Ms. Woods.
Amazing. Shout out to Tanasha. She's been amazing handling my campaign. Like I said, it was some community leaders, George Young. We've got the vice mayor of the village, so Melody Moore, Pastor Reed of Fairview Baptist Church, my mom, Gloria Anderson. So she is a superintendent. She's an educator, career educator in Idabel, and she moved up here with me, and she's been at OKC Public Schools. And right now she's with a public charter school. It's just been the former daughter of the former Senator Melvin Porter. And so Susan Porter, she ran previously. And so I have her support. She's been helping me in the campaign of, Brittany, this is what I did. Maybe these are some of the things that you can do differently. So it's been a great team of people around me. A lot of people have embraced me. And so I feel really good about the race coming up. So I wouldn't change it for the world. We've got some hurdles, some things to jump over, but it's been a great experience, and I'm excited for Tuesday.
Yeah, me too. I wish I was in District 99. District. I don't want to get to lying. I forgot what district I'm in. I'm in Edmond. And I'm telling you, I've had these postcards and these people knock on the door, come sit on my dinner table, and they do not represent me, although they probably represent a majority of what Edmond is looking for. And I would argue that a lot of people that welcome in these postcards and these politicians to come speak with them, but probably greatly disconnected from politics. Me, I'm highly involved with politics. I got to know what's going on politically, and I have to say, some of the candidates around here, I'd like to see more. I'd like to hear more. And it's still old fashioned to me. And so I'm glad you're a new face. And I'm new to the area. I'm sure you've been around. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it. But for me, you're a new face. You have great energy. You're intelligent, and judging by what you told us today, as far as your college experience and having your child and going through that, that's dope. It tells me you've got grit. You're a no brainer. And so anybody that lives in District 99, we're talking to a no brainer. And she's a millennial. I mean, and she's for the people approved. Sheesh. So real quick before we go again, and I have two more questions.
Okay.
What do you see District 99 in the next 5 or 10 years if you're elected?
A thriving district. So at least working to get there.
Yeah.
It takes time. So economic development, when you build out plans, it takes time. I always tell people, think about the MAPS program.
Yeah.
Downtown didn't look like this in 3 years. It's taken a series of decades, for downtown to look like it is.
Right.
We can get started now. Our
Yeah.
plans can get started and implemented now. So anything that you do in economic development, it doesn't come to fruition until years later, but we have to have a plan first. And so my plan for House District 99 is, for one, there's not for sure if you know how the district looks, but
Map.
there's a northeast side of the district and then there is a northwest side of the district. The needs of each side of the district are completely different. The northeast side of the district, you have a food desert. You don't have doctors that look like you. You have to
Right.
travel outside of the district for most of your needs. While as on the northwest side of the district, what I hear on the doors, they're more concerned about people speeding through their neighborhoods, putting speed bumps and stop signs at different places, or how do we clean up the streets? So their needs look completely different, and so being able to cater to the needs of their district, knowing that they're so diverse, um, really understanding the economics that needs to happen on the northeast side. The
Yeah.
northwest side, you have access to the food and the doctors, and schools and education. It still needs to be addressed on that side of town because there's schools that are closing due to lack of participation and people being able to get their kids to school. All of those things need to be addressed. The northeast side just looks a little different as far as owning your home, owning where you live, just resources. And so I
Right.
really want to start doing things like you talked about downtown, sorry, I just got a message about my internet. Are you okay? Can you still see me?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, you're good. Am I in? Can you hear me okay? Is that me? The internet?
Oh, for sure. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Okay, I can now. It's my
Okay,
internet.
sorry about that.
It's
It's
okay.
probably mine.
Okay. But like I said, the needs look different on the Northeast side. So I really want to make sure that we have access to the resources because that's where it's going to start first. Within
That's right.
businesses, within individuals, making sure that we know what the resources are and how we're going to utilize them. And then really making a plan. So bringing in businesses, more development. So really having a destination district, much like the districts that are around us, like the Paseo district, the Innovation district, downtown district. You want outside people to come and experience the culture.
Yes.
So there's so
Yeah.
much culture that's on the northeast side of town that
Yes.
you want people to come in. You want that to be your own district. The East End, that's what it's called, that district. So you want people to come from the outside and spend their money at, our businesses and within our communities and make that something that they do every weekend, something that we host. Edmond has the Herd on Herd, things of those types of um celebrations or events. Like you want to make sure, like we have Juneteenth coming, It's going, this weekend that's coming up, it's going to be amazing. It's going to
Yeah,
draw
yeah.
for people. You've got the 5K that the Juneteenth on the East just started to implement and bring people outside just to see the northeast side of town and make it. There's such a stigma behind it. Oh, we can't go to
Right,
northeast side of town because we're going to get shot or we're going to
right,
do
right,
so much crime, and you just don't want that stigma related to your community. So what do? You do things like, let's have a 5K and
right,
show the neighborhoods that we live in. Does it need a little bit of work? Yeah. Just our roads, all roads in Oklahoma need need
right,
work.
right. Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
so just really showing off the culture that's on the east side, but I believe access to resources is going to be our main thing.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm here to support in any way that I can. So definitely keep me on speed dial. Definitely
Absolutely.
continue to shoot me emails. Once you get elected, same thing. Let me know what I could do, and I'll get my kids out there. So it'll be triple finales, beating on doors,
Yay.
calling, whatever we got to do to make sure that you're able to work towards your plan and vision. Now, with that all being said, how can we be involved? How can we help Brittany make this state better together?
So I love how you use my mantra, my
I sure
slogan.
did. I was looking for it on you.
I see you. I see you. You learned it. So right now, we are at the last push. So I knock doors every day. So you don't, for people that don't want to interact with individuals, when I say knock doors, I mean literature drop. So you
Mhm.
can literally have what we call a walk card, and you can fold it up and you put it on someone's door. And it's just making sure that people get your information. They're making sure that they know your website, how to, when to go vote. There's dates on there. So you can lit drop, and off of a list that we print you, you can go with us when we go on Saturday. So we typically have, and this is the last Saturday, and we'll probably be at Juneteenth handing out cards. So if you want to help with Juneteenth, wear a blue shirt. Come out, and we're just handing out cards to people, so reminding them to vote on this upcoming next week Tuesday election. You can donate. So that is the biggest thing. I can't tell people where I am without having money to go print materials and yard signs and all the things. And so money is always good. I should have started with that.
Right.
Money,
Yeah. Yeah.
volunteering. And then we have people that can call. You can get a call list, and you can just remind people to go vote on, Tuesday, June 18. I am calling on behalf of Brittane Grant's campaign, but we really just want to emphasize voting. We want to have our community as Black people to get out, and African Americans, Black or brown, to get out and exercise our right to vote, because we've had people that come before us to fight for our rights to do that. So
Right.
we should utilize
Yeah.
that. And so whether you're voting for me, which I hope you do, we want you to exercise your right to vote. And so there's different ways to get involved. I would love for you all to get involved. So you can go to bg4hd99.com. And you can just write me a quick note. I'd love to hear from you. Any concerns that you have for the community, any ideas that you have. We are voted in as legislators to hear from our people and to serve the people. And so if we're not listening to you, then how are we serving you? And so I would love to hear from you. My cell phone number, 405-532-2508. That comes directly to me. I get your messages, everything. So please, I'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to me and get involved.
Yes. Yes. Get involved, man. Your future depends on it. Brittane Grant, thank you again for blessing the platform with your presence. I look forward to maybe running a take two, maybe your second term or something like that.
Let's
Maybe
do
third
it.
term, maybe fourth term.
That strong women or Black women, you mentioned it.
Yes.
Tie me into that conversation. I'd love to be on a
Absolutely.
panel, have some other people here. Like that's a great topic. So I'd love.
Yeah, we're gonna line it up. Me and my colleagues, we're working on that, and so you definitely, we're gonna top on your shoulder.
Yeah,
we're gonna have
absolutely.
It. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you again, Brittany. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Take care. You too.
You too.
Woo-wee! There you have it, folks. You've heard it yourself from the woman herself, Brittane Grant. Brittany, man, big shout out to you, sister. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being who God has called you to be, man. Sometimes we get into this mode of feeling like we got it all, feeling like we are in complete control. But man, I tell you what, if you're a believer like I am, you're not in control. I think the universe plays a role in all this, and I think God is in control of that universe. And so I think everything acts on karma, and destiny, and so shout out to Brittany, man. Shout out to District 99. Y'all have got a bright future. I'm a little jealous that I don't live in the district. And listen, we need more younger faces in leadership representation. So if you're a millennial, man, I just made a post on my Facebook. Like, this is the world's greatest generation. This is going to be the greatest generation the world has ever known. But can anybody tell me why? I mean, we still have high incarceration rates. We still have people dying of fentanyl, that fit now. We still got a lot of crazy, pardon my French, sorry, mom and mother-in-law, kids, but we still got a lot of crazy shit going on. But we, pat ourselves on the back. A lot of people are liking that post. I believe we're going to be the greatest generation the world has ever known. I think we're on the peak, on the precipice, I think that's the word I'm looking for, of waking up to that reality that we lived in a society that has been telling us all the wrong shit. And I think we're coming into an awakening as a collective. And we'll see more faces like Brittany, and shout out to Cindy Munson. Like, those are generational leaders that I feel like will give us that title of the greatest generation the world has ever known. And we're at a continuum. I truly believe we're at a continuum, and we're looking at systems. We're looking at social and social structures, society, and how it's operating. And people that have lived generations in poverty are like, hey man, this ain't right. People that have lived in generations of, especially from my community, dope dealing, gangs, and a life of crime, generations of that, and we have reached the peak, and we're tired. And we have the knowledge and knowing that, hey, no, we can get the bag other ways. We don't have to stall homie out. We don't have to, kill someone, or we don't have to go and do the things that we felt like we needed to do. And so I think a lot of us are waking up at the same time, and we're seeing it for what it was. And some people see it as a big joke and a game that's been played on us. And some people look at it as like, hey, we've been locked out of resources. No matter how we're looking at it, I think we're awake to the bullshit now. And so we have leaders that, that will listen to us, to say, hey, society hasn't been working for us. It's been operating in favor of this specific person, and this specific type of person. I needed to work for people that look like me. And I think we're on the break of creating new legacy. And so leaders are in place. Now it's left for us. What's left for us is to do our job and vote on Tuesday for candidates that represent us, and candidates that see a future that we see, that, we see the same type of future. It's not someone that's coming into your community from outside of your community, creating these, standards of living that don't even fit you culturally, box you out of opportunities and resources. I think we can say goodbye to that, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take some involvement. And so if you're able to vote, man, and you're in District 99, or if you're not in District 99 and there's a candidate that speaks to you and your future, man, show up Tuesday. State of Oklahoma, let's make this Super Tuesday, June 18th, the biggest turnout that this state has ever seen. As far as top of the ticket, come November, I ain't got nothing to say for you on that. Without saying too much, the top of the ticket is a joke. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. And I'm gonna be politically correct and not even speak on that. But local candidates, man, let's pull up, let's show up and show out. But thank you again, Brittany. Y'all stay tuned to my guest that we haven't sit down and chopped it up yet. Hey, we're freeing up some free time over here. We're freeing up some time over here, and we're going to get after it. I'm working on clearing my mind and clearing my schedule a little bit more to be more of a voice. And we're going to get there. So be patient with me. Thank you for being patient with me. And don't forget, everyone has vision. The question is, who are you and what are you looking for? I love you guys. I'm out.